Hello and welcome to e-GMAT. We will solve question number 95 of OG Verbal Second Edition by using e-GMAT three-step process. In the first step, we will understand the meaning of the sentence. In the second, we will evaluate the errors in the sentence, and finally, we will review all the answer choices to get to the correct answer. So let's begin. Proponents of artificial intelligence say they will be able to make computers that can understand English and other human languages, recognize objects, and reason as an expert does. Computers that will be used to diagnose equipment breakdowns, deciding whether to authorize a loan or other purposes such as these. This sentence presents a few facts. It says that proponents of artificial intelligence say that they will be able to make computers that can understand English and other human languages, recognize objects, and reason like an expert. The proponents also say that these computers will be used to diagnose equipment breakdowns, to decide whether to authorize a loan, and other similar purposes. Now let us evaluate the errors by splitting the sentence into its clauses. So here comes the first clause. Proponents of artificial intelligence say. Here proponents of artificial intelligence is the subject and say is the verb. Notice that artificial intelligence cannot be the subject of this clause because it lies in the prepositional phrase that modifies proponents. Being the head of the phrase, proponents will decide the number of the verb. Since proponents is in plural, it takes plural verb say. After say, we have a subject-verb pair, which means we have another clause here that reads, they will be able to make computers. Here, they is the subject and will be able is the verb. Presence of that brings us to another clause that reads, that can understand English and other human languages, recognize objects, and reason as. Here, that is the subject and can understand, recognize, and reason are the verbs. After as, we have a subject-verb pair, which means we have another clause here that reads, an expert does computers. Here, an expert is the subject and does is the verb. Presence of another that means we have another clause here that reads, that will be used to diagnose equipment breakdowns, deciding whether to authorize a loan or other purposes such as these. Here, that is the subject and will be used is the verb. Now notice that the noun plus noun modifier, computers that will be used to diagnose equipment breakdowns, deciding whether to authorize a loan or other purposes such as these, correctly modifies the computers here. Note that this type of modifier can modify any aspect of the preceding clauses. The noun computers in this modifier explicitly states that it describes the noun computers in the second clause. Now the purposes for which these computers will be used are not parallel. To diagnose equipment breakdowns is not grammatically parallel to deciding whether to authorize a loan. To diagnose equipment is written in the two-verb form, whereas deciding whether to authorize a loan is written in verb ing form. That leads to parallelism error in this sentence. Also, verb ing deciding seems to present the result of the preceding clause, which is illogical. Breakdown of machines has got nothing to do with taking decision whether to authorize a loan or not. Use of verb ing modifier here leads to meaning error in this sentence. Well, these are the two errors here, and let us run the POE to find out which answer choice corrects these errors. Well, choice A certainly does not, as we discussed just now. Choice B is also incorrect. Which clause is a noun clause and hence can only modify a noun? What precedes which in this choice is a verb, does, and hence it is incorrect to use which to modify a verb. So that makes choice B incorrect. Let's take a look at choice C now. Well, choice C is the correct answer because here both the purposes for which computers will be used are written in verb ing form, diagnosing equipment breakdowns or deciding whether to authorize a loan. Also, phrase like an expert is correct because it presents comparison between the computers and an expert, suggesting that the computers will function in the similar manner as an expert does. So use of like an expert is also correct in this choice, and hence choice C is the correct answer. Let's take a look at choice D now. In choice D, which clause refers to expert, which is incorrect? It is the computers that will be used for various purposes and not the experts. Hence the reference of which clause is incorrect. Also, use of second like in this sentence, in this choice to present examples is incorrect. When we need to cite examples, we must use the phrase such as and not like. So these two errors make choice D incorrect. Let's take a look at choice E now. Well, choice E has the similar illogical reference error as in choice D, and also it repeats the same parallelism and the meaning errors as we found in choice A. So these errors make choice E incorrect. So as we found out earlier, choice C is the correct answer for this sentence. This brings us to the takeaway messages. In a parallel list, all the entities must be grammatically and logically parallel. Modifiers must be worded correctly to convey the intended meaning of the sentence. And when citing examples, we must use the phrase such as and not the word like. The concepts tested in this sentence have been covered in e-GMAT Concepts Level 1, Idioms, Standard Expressions, Level 1, Parallelism, Identify and Correct, Level 1, Parallelism, Helpful Tips, and Level 2, Modifiers, Relative Pronouns.